Everybody, this is Alan Adcock, and welcome to Cyber Sentinel. On this episode, we've got Capri Barnett, who is the owner of People Plus Solutions, staffing agency down in Henry County, Georgia. I met Capri over at the Georgia Staffing Association. Capri, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Alan. Thanks so much for having me.
Excellent. Thanks for joining us today. So in cybersecurity, we talk about the pillars being people, process, and technology. Obviously, people touches on the staffing and the staffing industry in general. How can using a staffing company like yours help a business owner, especially right now, given all the uncertainty in the markets with the lockdowns we've been through with the COVID and all the unrest we've got going on? How can using a staffing company help me as a business owner?
In a lot of ways, especially right now, like you said, given the market, there's so much uncertainty around COVID and hiring, and people are laying off and downsizing and then bringing people back. And what we find is companies come to us to help manage that risk. So if they're doing furloughs and they're doing layoffs and they don't know when they're going to bring people back, they can utilize us to fill in those gaps during those times. And then, especially with where COVID's concerned, there's a lot of risk that we don't know. So you've got a lot of safety issues that are involved. You've got a lot of fear that are involved. So when they're using staffing companies such as ourselves, then they're employees of People Plus Solutions. They're not employees of the client. So we can help mitigate that risk by helping them develop safety programs as far as cleaning, decontamination. We can help to make sure that they've got like the 6-foot rules in place, that they're doing temperature checks. We can help ease the fear of our employees. And then with the new laws, with we have what's the paid sick leave, the 80 hours paid sick leave, and the FMLA. If the employee works for us, then we're responsible for those costs. So, for example, if an employee starts a job and they only work 2 days, and all of a sudden they feel like they're experiencing symptoms or they've been asked to be quarantined, then the client or the company would have to pay for that cost for the additional 80 hours. If they're utilizing a staffing service, then guess what? We're absorbing that cost. The same thing if an employee were to start working for the staffing company and say after a week or so they no longer have childcare, as the case in several situations right now, then we would have to cover the FMLA, the paid FMLA, if we're a staffing company that's over 50 employees. And while we're covering that for that person to be out, we can put a fill-in of another person to make sure that the client's okay. A prime example of how we've utilized it during this time is we have one of our larger customers that's a union environment, and they basically gave all their employees the option to be off the whole month of April when things were really starting to happen. And then they allowed us to backfill those positions for the month. So there was no pressure for their employees if they didn't feel safe or comfortable staying there. There was no pressure for them to stay there. We backfilled with people that were okay with with the risk. If that makes
Wow, that's great. We talk a lot about risk in cybersecurity. You talked a little bit about the risks around staffing. So the staffing agency can actually help me as a business owner reduce risk around my people, right?
Absolutely, and that's just one way. The advantage of using an agency is, one, we're responsible for the managing of the hiring, the coaching, and the firing. So a lot of times, clients, one, they don't have the time to go through that process and go through 100 resumes or 200 resumes to outsource the candidate they're looking for. So we take on that responsibility, and in taking on that responsibility, we take on the responsibility of their payroll. If there's any payroll issues, we take on the responsibility and making sure that their classifications are right. And that's a big thing right now. We've seen a lot of lawsuits where companies are classifying people as exempt and non-exempt the wrong way because they don't understand the dynamics behind it, or they understand the salary rule but they don't understand the job description rule. So that responsibility or that liability becomes on our plate. We manage the firing so you don't have any wrongful termination lawsuits. We manage the coaching, so you don't have to deal with the clients don't have to deal with the coaching of the employees as far as attendance, performance, things like that. If someone's injured on the job, it's a big thing because we take on all of that liability and that risk, from the point of, assessing the situation, finding the right clinic for them to go to, managing their return to work status, managing to get them back to work as quickly as possible, all of the costs that's involved with that. So part of our job as a staffing agency is to make sure that when we start working with the company, that we do a site safety evaluation, that we come in and we really understand that company from all angles so that we offer consultings, so if we see that they're not doing something that might be prime for the work environment, then we can bring in experts to try to help them understand how they can improve process to eliminate the liability and the risk. So we try to be a partner and a consultant to our customers. If we see that there's a similar injury that's happening more than once, so say if a forklift drivers keep hitting walls, that's something that's happened in the past, right? We can look and go in and say, okay, why is this happening? Is it too busy? Are there too many people crossing things? Are there other areas we can put in place? Unemployment. So if someone's laid off, then we cover the cost of that. We cover the cost of filing the unemployment claims, going through the process. If we have to do any, like we're going through, as you can imagine right now, we probably have 100 unemployment cases that we're having to go through. And, obviously the majority of the people qualify for unemployment, but if someone was terminated for cause, then we go through that mediation process with the Department of Labor to determine whether or not they qualify or not. And that's just a few of the areas that we help.
Wow, that's a lot. I'm not sure as a business owner I don't even want to think about some of that stuff, but wow, excellent. So here at ASC Group, we're seeing a lot of activity now picking up as we're coming out of the lockdown. Seeing a lot more activity, across the board. So as small business owners are looking to get started again, we're, I guess, in the minority that we just kept our staff through the whole thing. We kept working through this whole thing. All the computer systems run, whether people are working at home or working in their office. It actually got more busy for us as the lockdown started because everybody who was set up was good to go, but there were a whole lot of companies that were not prepared for that. And so we had to go out and get them help in order to be able to continue to operate in remote scenarios. Obviously, like manufacturing, that's not going to work, but in an office environment, we can make that work. So we've gone from a period where we had really, really small unemployment numbers to now really huge unemployment numbers. What are you seeing? What's the labor market look like as this thing seems to be changing every day? Here in Georgia, how does it look to you?
First off, congratulations on being an essential business and being able to maintain during this time, right? That's a great place to be. Based on what I've been reading and everything, great news is that based on United States Bureau of Labor Statistics and everything, it looks like between April and May, we have the unemployment rate is around 13.3%. Originally, the anticipation was for it to be 19.8%. So it's much lower than what the expectation was. So that's a good thing. Obviously you see e-commerce doing extremely well. You see couriers doing extremely well because people are staying at home and shopping. Right? You see in healthcare is starting to pick up. Manufacturing is slowly starting to pick up, especially if it's something that deals with retail. And then a lot of what we've seen for the month of May which is good news. We've seen hospitality pick up. We're seeing retail trade pick up. These are all good things because it shows that the economy is starting to open back up. As the economy opens back up, with the unemployment rate, so many people are currently getting unemployment. And honestly, a lot of people are making a lot more money getting unemployment than they did before they started getting unemployment. So the concern is going to be for a lot of clients is being able to get those employees to return to work. A lot of times when people get unemployed, especially during these times, they start shopping for better opportunities. So if you're a company that maybe is not as competitive from a salary standpoint as you could be, it may be harder for you to find those candidates to return to the environment that they were in before, which again is where we come into play, is to try to help identify new people if the old people decide, hey, I've been furloughed, I've been laid off, this is an opportunity for me to find a job making more money, or, I've been looking for a change anyway. So it's going to be interesting to see how the fact that so many people are unemployment right now, how that's going to play out to them returning to the workforce as it starts to improve.
Yeah, I've heard that with some other people in a business association that we're in, that they're having trouble recalling staff right now, which I hadn't even really thought about as an issue. But we'll see how this all plays out. Capri, if somebody wants to work with you, either as a business owner or as maybe somebody that's looking for an opportunity, how do they find you?
Oh, I guess I should have put my information. Do you need a business card or? But my website is people-plus-solutions.com, and we're located in Henry County. We specialize primarily in manufacturing, engineering, HR, and logistics, and we for contract and direct hire placement. So they can go to my website, and it's got my mobile phone numbers on there. And basically, we love to partner. We don't work with every company out there. We partner with companies that are looking for amazing people, and we, higher skill level positions is kind of where our focus is.
Awesome.
But they can always find me on the internet or SHRM or LinkedIn or Georgia Staffing Association.
So thanks, everybody. This has been Alan Adcock with the Cyber Sentinel Show. You can find us online at hashtag Cyber Sentinel. Our website is www.ascgrp.com, and we'll catch you on the next episode.